What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Harris, and today we're going to be talking about a series that I have read as well as watched recently and quickly became one of my favorite series of all time, and probably the most relatable series that I've probably watched in a very long time as well. And if my shirt didn't give the answer, today we're going to be talking about Nana. Before we get into the video today, this video will have some spoilers, so if you have not watched or read Nana in any way, I highly suggest that you click away from the video. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds. Alright, let's begin. So I think that the biggest thing in anime as a whole has always been to try to create characters that make decisions that shape up the plot of the main story, and part of that is to get the watcher slash reader to feel for these type of characters. And I think that the characters in Nana are prime examples of characters that have human-like qualities that we can all relate to in some shape or form. And that's precisely one of the reasons why this series really grew to me, is the fact that these characters are definitely super relatable. The basic premise of Nana is told through our two protagonists, Nana Komatsu, also known as Hachi, and Nana Osaki. Hachi is a very nice girl who has a habit of falling in love at first sight all the time and depends on other people to help her with life. She saves enough money and moves to Tokyo when she turns 20 in order to be closer with her friends and her boyfriend. Nana Osaki, the other Nana, is also 20 years old, who is the lead of the Black Stones, also known as Blast, and she's been living with her boyfriend Ren Hanjo since she was 16. When Ren gets an opportunity to debut in Tokyo for another band called Trap Nest, Ren moves away and Nana sticks with Blast in order to cultivate her career instead of following her boyfriend. The real start of the story begins when both Nanas meet on the train, heading to Tokyo, and through a more string of coincidences, they end up sharing an apartment, living together, and these two polar opposites become best friends, and the story moves forward with issues such as romance relationships that are brought up time and time again throughout the story. Both Nanas have dreams. Hachi wants happiness in life, and Nana Osaki wants recognition. This show displays a realistic approach at showing the transition into adulthood, and it is told through a young woman's point of view. This is also a josei series, which means that this series is tailored to older teenage girls slash adult women, and it contains a lot more mature themes within the storytelling as opposed to regular shoujo series. One of the biggest reasons that this show really got me hooked, in addition to having a realistic point of view, is that the interactions early on between Hachi and Nana Osaki. Their dynamic is amazing. From first reading in the manga, then being animated on the show, it was truly amazing to see. These two polar opposites surprisingly mesh really well together, and it has to be one of the most strongest reasons on why the series is amazing. The other strong thing in the show is the journey, and most of the journey is told through massive amounts of dialogue because it is a slice-of-life show. Every single interaction early along with characters such as Kyosuke, Junko, and Shoji all set up towards a greater narrative, and I'm talking every single piece of dialogue, like every single pillow talk, gossip, restaurant conversation, and even interactions in Apartment 707 all flow towards the greater journey, and the payoffs are indeed there. The first notable arc in the show is when Shoji cheats on Hachi because as Hachi's world started to open up more and more, Shoji felt emotionally dejected, so he falls for Sachiko, and this was somewhat hinted early on through dialogue once again. And it was really obvious that they didn't really have the strongest relationship there, so Sachiko kind of filled the void. Once the scandal happened, it set the stage for more bigger conflicts in the series later on, like when she's caught in the crossfire between her two love interests, Nobu and Takumi. At first, Hachi has a physical relationship with Takumi that later leads into more emotional dependence slash stability with that scumbag after he gets her pregnant. And in turn, she has to sacrifice Nobu, a guy who could have given Hachi the love that she wanted. She makes the decision to stick with Takumi for the child's sake. She gets married with him and she becomes what she wanted to be, right? Which was a housewife, but she has to sacrifice her happiness in order to do so. As for Nana Osaki and her journey, her plot points are kind of branched off after Hachi is introduced to the bandmates following the cheating scandal, and her main focus is her own growth through Blast, and gaining popularity through her boyfriend Ren kind of feels cheap to her in some way, so she wants to really prove her worth and her own strength on her own accord. A personal battle that Nana Osaki has to deal with is the fear of abandonment because her mom abandoned her as a child. And she's very possessive, so once that kind of came back to her, once things started to become ripped away from her, like Ren leaving away from Tokyo, and Hachi leaving Apartment 707 with Takumi, it brought a new sort of stress, and she kind of breaks down and starts to hyperventilate, which becomes a problem and a reoccurring problem as the series moves on. To deal with this though, music offers a disassociation, a distraction, but she really needs more of that, and we see Nana Osaki turn to Yasu for emotional help in order to deal with the loneliness, which is another big theme in the series as well. And loneliness is a theme that we also see with the relationship of Layla and Shin. As the series went on, I definitely developed like a love-hate relationship with most of the cast of characters. I think that I probably was more disappointed in some of the decisions that Hachi makes later on. And even with Nana-O as well. Nana-O kind of neglected Hachi when she needed her the most, which is interesting considering the fact that she was really possessive of Hachi. And she even admits that in some scenes. But then she kind of comes to the realization and acceptance that Hachi had made some decisions and she has to live with those decisions for the rest of her life. After Satsuki, Hachi's daughter, is born, because the series likes to add some of the future scenes, Hachi becomes way more responsible as a person, and at the end of the show at least, there's a lot of more like reconciliation and acceptance as things seem to wrap up. Like the meeting with Shoji and Hachi before the fireworks festival. And this scene kind of really showed that they really did care for each other and had love for each other. The show does end there, however, and at this part, if you want it to continue, you have to read the manga, which has been on hiatus since 2009. The overall message that this series relays is the fact that there are good things that do happen in life when you are alive in this world. Life is all about the journey. Every journey begins with a single step. We all go through change in life, and there will be pain, there will be sorrow, and there will be regret. Nothing ever stays the same. There was a time early on when both Nanas were hanging out with each other and were super happy, and as time went on, the changes went through, they both got separated, and it hurt them. It hurt them a real lot, and they suffer because they are apart. And I think that both Nanas do have hope, though, that one day they can go back to the times that they used to have together, and hopefully will continue to be there for one another as the future moves forward. Once again, this series has become one of my favorites, and I just love how realistic it is and how character-driven the series is. And I hope that the author Ayazawa is doing well, and hopefully she kind of comes back to give us more of the series, and maybe we might get a definite ending. Who knows, but we can only pray from here, right? And that is going to do it for the video today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you. Be sure that you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and leave a comment down below. Have you watched Nana? Have you read Nana? What did you think about the series? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next one.